Everybody, welcome to the Coca Show live here from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pell City, Alabama. It's the Hayden Coca Show presented to you by none other than Senator Lance. I know Senator Lance Bell, the best man he knows. Best jury in the house. Jeremiah Dory, what's up? How we doing, Colin? Very well, somebody. So good seeing you, bud. What's that? Always. All right. Anyways, so let's talk about it tonight. Let's talk about what we've got going on. We've got some games going on. Lower tier, some young games going on. Just a lot going on as well. We're not going to match the game. Alabama controlled the whole game. It seemed like they were astounded. They came to the yardage game. Very Oklahoma anyways. So almost 2 times the yardage that Oklahoma had. Oklahoma still finds a way. They scratch, they claw, they wind up beating. And surprise the Alabama team had what went down in the game. Turnovers in the game. Turnovers in the game. Turnovers. The Big Six massive contributor earlier on the beginning. So I understand what they're about. Oklahoma in that game, but you have to understand that what happened at the end of the game on the sports side is a loss in the time. And it goes down to the loss in that college. It sucks. I know this, but now we can talk about the HCS Power 12 in a little bit. We've got a certain team retired now. We're going to be in the we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. 20 minutes. Look right there. Let's jump into it real quick. Tulane with the teams ranked in the AP top 25. One of the 3 group of 5 teams ranked in the top 25. You had Tulane, you had James Madison, you also had Texas. North Texas, one of those teams earlier in the year, a tough loss to South Florida team, which is kind of falling over the list. So that sticks to them. Maybe South Florida. Now, what's going to happen with North Texas? North Texas put together a good season. We got James Madison together a good season. What about Tulane? Tulane right now in the driver's seat to make that conference playoff at 12 spot. Right? I have James Madison in that spot in the field position. Other people have Tulane, some people have Texas. But from right now, what can we see now? Okay. I think I would love to see Bob Gentry squad and Jason. I would love to see those guys play. A lot of people would love to see Johnny Ross play. You have more Texas teams just spice it really pretty. Quarterback in Texas done some phenomenal things over his college career. Last year was his first year in college. Last year was his first freshman in high school. How's that? Well, that's pretty much back to it. So, anyway, it's absolutely it's cool. Watch the worst watch. What's going to happen with the picks? A lot of teams, I saw a report, a notification a few weeks ago. Just players from Fox because this kid's having a phenomenal year. Where could he possibly go to transfer from this year? And I immediately said, what in the hell is happening for college and games? Because you have a good player who is just doing the bits this year. Why not raise the kid instead of saying, oh, this kid is phenomenal, where's he going to go? I understand it. I get it because that's currently where college athletics is trending. But at the same time, come on, really? Because for me, and I'll get certain the dude is where he is right now for a freaking reason. All right? That's what it is. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Now, we've got some kind of to talk about that. BYU handled business against TCU. TCU went 2 and BYU, they kicked strong, they kicked long. That's all there is to it. Very popular. BYU squad continues to progress. I think that BYU needs to continue to do that. So back up this week against the Cincinnati team, but it's kind of falling off the face of the planet. Phenomenal to take 3 losses, and now you're back down to the average stuff. Cincinnati has a guy that's what really what He got a phenomenal year. Talking about it. Quarterback rating source. Who I think is one of just the greatest and the Big 12 it's going to be touchdowns compared to 4 interceptions. You guys played really well in 2006. I think they have the most yards passing in the world, but he's going out there, he's going to get done, he's scoring, he's making plays. So obviously, I understand why he isn't getting all that attention that a lot of people make. I think he should. It's because he's not a great team. It's because he's not on the noteworthy team. If he was on a team like, for instance, Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State was 92. Take a team like Alabama. It's not compared to Alabama. Let me just say. Let's go for another big call. Utah. Texas Tech. Ohio State. Michigan. So, I don't know. It's different. I look at it from a little bit different standpoint, but I don't know. You can look at it from a much different avenues, a much different direction. That's how I see it. All right. Good morning. John Sumrall. Arkansas. I don't know. I know it's going to. I don't think they'll stay too late after this season. I'll tell you why. First off, I want to tell you about 174. Still 174. Those guys just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Let me tell you a little. Just kind of. Still 174, and John Sumrall. John Sumrall, Joker goes to the building program. Still 174, those Jokers come in and build the house. All right? Daniel Wilson, Nelson Ross, Bob Wilson, those guys are phenomenal. They know how to get it done. They can build your house, and they can build your study out. They're not going to go out there and build you a house, the big fat wolf, all right? They build a nice house, pretty house. I see a little bit of their work, they're doing a really nice job. So go get Steel 174, follow on Facebook. Steel Steel 174. Steel 174 SKP. All right, now moving on. Florida and Johnson. What's happening? I got a little bit here. Okay, so Florida and Johnson overall was supposed to be this week. Meeting cancer. Johnson overall continues to post on Twitter. Last night, maybe he posted a picture of him and his quarterbacks with the caption, "Best meeting, most important meeting of them all." Obviously, he'll be him and his quarterbacks. I don't know, man. It's interesting. Johnson overall, he can go this. I think that Arkansas would be super for him. I think that Florida would be super for him. The question is, what exactly does these teams want out of the head coach? Is this what they want out of the head coach, Johnson? Okay, so let me start with all of this. I'll take a sip of the Buffalo Wild Wings. It's all about hot drinks. Coach Stevens in the house. We have Jeremiah Gilroy here. Gilroy over here. What's he saying? We're live, baby. Come on over here. Go ahead, introduce yourself to him. Here you go. Hope you're doing well. Have a good time. So, American years, just bonded over the last 2 years. I'll forget Chick-fil-A. He comes every now and then. You know, Mr. Jeremiah, dad, those much Chick-fil-A. But I keep changing what they say. Anyway, John Sumrall, where's he going to go? Okay, let's talk about Auburn. What has John Cohen said in a recent press conference? Over the last month, which got on the press conference saying that the next head coach they hire, they'd like the head coach to be an offensive minded coach. But why is that? Because, well, defensively they're fine. They've been fine for the last few years defensively. And it is offensively where they've absolutely struggled. They have no identity. They have a little bit of identity, but their identity is Archie. It's just not a good picture for all. That's not something that they have tried to achieve, but it's something that over the last few years, the comfort that is still the consequence of hiring recruiters. It's something the consequence of hiring Brian Parsons. Brian Parsons. So it's like I said, this is all personally, this is all on the Auburn AD for one. John Cohen, he can take the blame himself. Hayden McHugh said he is the best. Gotcha. Oh. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, check. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. All right, here we go. Sounding off. All right, let's go. John Sumrall. I don't think he's going to Florida. I don't think he's going to Arkansas. He may go to Arkansas. I don't think he's going to Auburn either. All right, it's the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know, the best man he knows, and HCS Power 12 as well. The HCS Power 12 powered by Steel 174. Broker by Steel 174 and Senator Lance Bell. And now we are hosted by Buffalo Wild Wings here in Pell City, okay? So we've come a long way, all right? We're talking about college football tonight. Let's gear up, let's lock in, and let's dive into it. John Sumrall, where's he going? I don't know. I don't think he goes to Auburn. Let me tell you why. John Cohen, what has he said recently? John Cohen has recently said that he wants their next head coach to be offensive minded. And if that's the case, they're not hiring John Sumrall. For those of you who don't know, John Sumrall started his career as a graduate assistant at Kentucky. Okay. He's continued to go up the ladder since then. He's been at Troy and he's been at Tulane once before. He was the head coach at each school. Okay. So now I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to let you sink that in. Let that sink in for a minute. Before John Sumrall was the head coach at Troy, before he was the head coach at Tulane, he was an assistant at both schools prior. Then he left. Then he went back to Troy and Tulane. You get where I'm going with that. All right. Where's he going to go now? He's been at San Diego as well. That's another school. And he's been at Kentucky. The guy played at Kentucky. He was a GA at Kentucky. He was a defensive coach at Kentucky. Not a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive coach at Kentucky. So my main question now is what exactly is going to happen with John Sumrall? Because I can sit here all I want to and say, you know what, maybe he's going to go to Auburn. Well, John Cohen has already come out, like I said earlier, said they don't necessarily think that they want an offensive-minded coach, which you can understand why. Now, what's Arkansas going to do, okay? Arkansas, I have no reason to believe that he will not go to Arkansas. I have no reason to believe that he will go to Arkansas. I have reason to believe that there was a little bit of traction before this week in Florida. I don't know how much traction is there now. He's the betting favorite to land the job at Auburn. I don't think he lands a job at Auburn. That's just strictly going off of what John Cohen said and the words that were uttered out of his mouth. So I don't know. We will see where all that goes, but I don't think it's going to be Auburn. But obviously over the next few weeks, we'll see what happens. John Cohen already said that he hopes to have a head coach in place after the Iron Bowl. So we'll see where that goes. All right. Now, the HCS Power 12 coming here in a little bit. But let's talk about it. All right. So we talked about John Sumrall. Now I want to talk about Bob Chesney. Okay. Bob Chesney, head coach there at James Madison right now. I like Bob Chesney. I think Bob Chesney is a pretty decent head coach. I'm really interested to see where he goes after this year. I don't think he stays at James Madison. He has been linked to a coaching job at UCLA. Is that going to happen? I don't know. UCLA, some of the odds for other coaches, you have Jed Fish as well, Ryan Silverfield. So I'm not entirely sure who's going to get the job at UCLA. I'm not entirely sure who's going to nab Bob Chesney. We'll see. Obviously, we have a lot of season left to go, even with 2 weeks left in the regular season, because then you have conference championships followed. And I don't think team coaches like Lane Kiffin are probably going to move until the SEC championship, or maybe even after that. Because right now it's looking like this Ole Miss team is going to be in the playoff. Obviously, they have to win out and they have to beat a feisty Mississippi State team on the road. That's going to be a fun one to watch, but we'll see how that one goes. So, anyways, all right. Moving on. So we've talked about it. We've discussed. We're going to digress. We're going to move away from John Sumrall. Where does Bob Chesney go? Because I think that he may be a good fit at teams like Auburn. Would Auburn go gamble on Bob Chesney? I don't necessarily know that he would. All right, now let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at another head coach, Lehigh head coach Kevin Cahill. He's another coach that I think pops off the paper to me. Coach Kevin Cahill, 11-0 right now at Lehigh, on a 16-game regular season win streak. That's longest in the nation amongst D1 schools. And you also have them Well, they're ranked number 4 in the FCS right now. I understand it's an FCS team. I get that. I understand. But how do coaches jump from the FCS to the FBS? They take those jobs. Okay? Bob Chesney did it. He was at Holy Cross. It's happened before. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that hasn't happened. Look at Kurt Signetti. Okay? He's jumped divisions. Look at Kalen DeBoer. He's jumped divisions. So it happens. It's not just something that happens out of random. It's not just something that happens by luck. These coaches, they get good at where they're at, and their talent is noticed. And some of these higher schools, they're watching some of these coaches that are doing really, really good, whether it's an FCS or a D2 or whatever, and they jump on them, they get them, okay? They can pay them big bucks to come and help their organization out. Look at what Kurt Signetti did. Okay, he's done a fine job where he's at right now in Indiana. Okay, say whatever you want to. You did a fine job at James Madison. All right, he has said it live. He said it live publicly that they don't just beat top 25 teams; they kick their ass. Okay, that is coach straight. Edie, don't kill me. That's coming from another head coach's mouth. All right, sorry, grandmother, I love you, but no, you have to take a step and look back at it because I don't know, Kevin Keel. I think he could be phenomenal at an FBS level right now. Would that happen right now? Is he going to jump after this year? I don't know, but I think he'd be a good fit in some places. All right. Let's take a look down at the iPad here. Here we go. We get the iPad with us. We also have our phone with us. Let's see. My grandmother even texted me. I see. Your sound is messed up. I love my grandmother. Absolutely helping me out. Coming in clutch. I love her. All right, let's take a look at the top 25, the College Football Selection Committee top. We're going to look at the top 12, okay? Number 1, Ohio State hasn't changed. Indiana hasn't changed. Texas A&M hasn't changed. All right, now. Georgia moves up a spot at 4. You have Texas Tech at number 5. You have Ole Miss at number 6. You have Oregon at number 7. Oklahoma number 8, making a big jump after beating number 4 ranked Alabama. Then number 4 ranked Alabama. Notre Dame at number 9. Alabama number 10. BYU number 11. Utah number 12. And then Miami on the outside looking in right now at number 13. Okay, so we've got a lot going on. But what we've really got to start taking into context here is where exactly some of these teams are going to fall after the next few weeks. Okay, Alabama, I'm not so sure they make the playoffs. They've got a tough final game of the regular season against Auburn. If they make it past that game, guess what? They've got to go to the SEC championship game. They already have 2 losses. If they lose that game, are they going to be knocked out? I'm not saying they will. I'm not saying they should, but that's something that the College Football Playoff Committee would have to do. They're going to have to look at some of these other 2-loss teams, whether it's Georgia Tech if they lose another game, whether that's Virginia if they lose another game. Am I saying I think that Virginia or Georgia Tech deserves to be in over a 2-loss or 3-loss Alabama? No, I'm not. What I am saying, though, is that it could certainly be a possibility because the selection committee can view it a little bit differently than I view it or you at home may view it. So I don't know. To me, it's a little bit different. I can't necessarily say that I have the same brain as the college football selection committees, but they have a brain on them, man. They have a brain on them. This is the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know, the best man he knows. I'm extremely grateful for Senator Lance Bell and all he does for me. Extremely grateful for all he does for the city of Pell City and for the state of Alabama because he's just phenomenal. Phenomenal dude. Great dude. And a good-looking man, too. Don't tell him I said that, though. All right. So let's get back into it. I want to kind of dive back into what we were just talking about a little bit. So let's take a look at the selection committee and what exactly they would do with some of these teams. BYU has a tough game this weekend against Cincinnati. BYU, they've lost 1 game this year already. They lost to Texas Tech. Texas Tech in the top 10 at the time. Texas Tech absolutely smoked BYU. Although it was in Lubbock, Texas, absolutely smoked them. Okay, it wasn't even close. I don't care what anybody says. That game was not close at all. Bear Buckner, he didn't look the same as he usually does. Quarterback for BYU, almost offense looked lethargic at times. Just didn't look too good at all. Now let's switch it up a notch. Let's take it back and let's look at who they have this week. Cincinnati kind of falling off a little bit, but still a good team. Brendan Sorsby, I think one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12. He's had a phenomenal year this year. Like we mentioned earlier, it's over 20 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, over 2,000 yards passing. He's been really good. So I think that this weekend tells a lot about BYU. If they lose this game, then I think that they have to do a lot
in order to get back to that Big 12 championship game. I think they have a lot to do to work back into the playoff conversation, because then you're a 2-loss team with what notable wins? There really aren't any. Okay, Utah, make the argument for Utah. If Utah wins out, okay, you're not going to make an argument over anybody for Utah if they win out. Okay, they're going to be in the playoff if they win out. Devontae Pierce, I think he could take that team to another level. But how good can they be? Okay, so as the season plays out, the 2 weeks we have left, not including the conference titles and everything, it's going to be a lot, man. There's going to be a lot fall into place. There's going to be chips on the table, cards on the table that fall off, okay? Some people are going to throw all their money in on a few teams, and those teams are going to lose out. Some people are going to throw money on teams, and those teams are going to continue to be in the college football playoff conversation even after the conference title game. So we're about to run into absolute mayhem with the college football playoffs, because that win for Oklahoma – not all but solidified, okay? They have to win out. They're not going to the SEC championship game, okay? They have 2 losses in the SEC. Regarding something just incredible happening, but I'm pretty sure that's not even possible at this point. Texas A&M, all they have to do is win out, and they're in, okay? They could even afford to lose a game, and they'd still be in the college football playoff, okay? That's just how that would work. But I don't know, man. It's interesting. Say Texas A&M loses to Texas. Okay, then Texas A&M makes that SEC championship game. Say A&M gets beat by Alabama if Alabama makes the SEC championship game. Do you still have a 2-loss A&M team in? I don't know. You have to think about it, because then you'd have a loss against Texas, which is in the top 20, and an Alabama team, which would eventually be in the top 10, or which is in the top 10, excuse me. So you've got to look at it from a few different perspectives. I don't necessarily know which way they go, but I think they'll choose the right direction eventually. But right now, it's just going to take time to figure everything out. But let me just tell you, toward the end of the season, Iron Bowl, 6:30 at night in Jordan-Hare Stadium, it's going to be absolutely crazy. And I'm not entirely sure that I understand why they put the game at 6:30. It's like they saw Alabama lose that game and was like, yep, let's do 6:30. I mean, it's going to be a crazy, crazy game. Okay? One of the best games you've seen all year. Why am I saying that exactly? Let's walk you through it, okay? Over the past 15, 20 years, there's been 2 night games played for the Iron Bowl. One of those at Bryant-Denny Stadium, one of those at Jordan-Hare Stadium, okay? Now, let's take it back a little bit. Over the past 5 years, over the last 5 years, there's been games go either way. We got Brandon Tate from Tate Farm. How we doing, Mr. Tate? Brandon Tate Farm in the house. Come on, get on camera, brother. How you doing? Yeah, Mr. Brandon Tate. Go down and see him, brother. But yeah, man, we got a lot going on, dude. So I think that, and like I said, over the past 5 years, the Iron Bowl in Jordan-Hare Stadium has been absolutely insane. The last Iron Bowl win for Auburn, 2019. The Iron Bowl in 2019, 48-45 victory. Auburn won. That was Bo Nix's second to last year in Auburn. Next year they played at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That game didn't go well. But yeah, man. So we got a few different outcomes that can go either way. We're going to talk about this game a little bit more next week. But holy crap. This game could go either way. And I think it'll be one of the best games that we've seen all year. Genuinely. I think that it's got everything backed into it. They've got the Jordan-Hare Stadium voodoo. I'm telling you, I had this conversation with a guy earlier. It is literally Aatrox going into Jordan-Hare Stadium at night in the Iron Bowl. It is. There's nothing that can compare to that. I've been to the Iron Bowl. I know how loud it is. I can guarantee you it's probably one of the loudest environments that anybody will ever experience. So that's just that. All right, now moving on. It's the Hayden Coker Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know, the best man he knows. And we talk about program builders all the time. We talk about building something from the ground up, okay? The Hayden Coker Show built from the ground up, not very far up, but built from the ground up, okay? As now we roll into the HCS Power 12, as we take a look here. So let's take a look at the HCS Power 12 here. We have none other than James Madison coming in at number 12 at that group of 5 position. And then we have none other than the Alabama Crimson Tide. We have the Alabama Crimson Tide coming in at number 11. So Alabama is in an interesting spot right now. I don't think that they are the 11th best team in the nation, but right now what we're doing is we're going off of strength of schedule, and we're going off wins and losses. And right now, Alabama, with the most recent loss being to Oklahoma, that is where they fall. Now, Oklahoma coming in at number 10. We have Oklahoma at number 10. Oklahoma beat Alabama last week. Alabama was the number 4 ranked team in the nation. I have Oklahoma sitting at number 10 right now. Some good wins. You have some losses on that schedule for Oklahoma, but you have some quality wins as well. BYU, they've lost one game this year against a really, really good Texas Tech team. Yes, I think Texas Tech is good. I don't want to hear it from anybody else. I think they're good. I have BYU at that number 9 position. After that tough loss, they've solidified. They have that schedule. Okay, you talk about notable wins against the team ranked behind them in the college football playoff ranking in Utah. Notre Dame currently at number 8. Some top 25 wins against USC and Pittsburgh. You have the 2 losses who are teams that are in the top 15 right now, but at the time we're top 10 teams. Okay, A&M as well. Guess what? They were there. Miami, they were there. So I have Notre Dame right there. I feel like Notre Dame, with the top 25 wins that they have, and with how they've been playing recently, they've been playing good enough football to fall at that number 8 position. Why do I not have Alabama ranked over Notre Dame, you ask? Alabama has a loss that comes later in the season, so it's happened more recently. Notre Dame has obviously shown improvement over since the beginning of the season. I'm not saying Alabama hasn't, because Alabama, obviously, they have that tough loss to Florida State at the beginning of the year. That's a 5-loss team, by the way. It's a 5-loss team. That still counts. I don't care. Like I said a few weeks ago, it's not an amputee, okay? You cannot just straight cut it off and not matter. This is still a part of the schedule for Alabama, and that plays a massive part of them being at number 11 right now in the HCS Power 12. But that's why Notre Dame is number 8. Number 7, Oregon. They've got some quality wins on there. They also have a loss to Indiana. And I want to see a little bit more from Oregon, because I feel like Oregon has a lot more to show. They can prove it this weekend against USC, and I think we will see it. I think they win this weekend against USC, and I think they win convincingly. Now, number 6, Ole Miss. Ole Miss struggled against Florida, but they continue to go throughout the game and win. I don't think that Florida's a bad team. I think that Florida has a bunch of good players. They have a good roster put together, and eventually with Florida, you're going to get them playing together at some point, and that's just how that works when you're playing a team that has a roster, as opposed to, let's see, Texas, or I won't say Texas Tech. BYU loses coach, as we say, like Scott Elliott, the legendary cameraman. Take a look at BYU. If this would happen to BYU, I think the team would fall apart. Why is that so? They don't have the athletes that teams like Florida does, but it's a little bit different of a story. Anyways, Ole Miss, they won that game. I think that a lot of noise is around Lane Kiffin right now. We'll talk about that later. Texas Tech at number 5. Texas Tech continues to impress me. Georgia number 4. They beat Alabama. What am I talking about? They beat Texas, over the last week. Played a good game. They won. They move up a spot because Alabama lost. Texas A&M number 3. I dropped them a spot due to the first half performance against South Carolina. I dropped them because a week prior I dropped Indiana after struggling with Penn State. It's just kind of how that goes. But Texas A&M at 3, Indiana 2, Ohio State 1. That's where I have those guys right now. It's at 7:28 here on a wonderful, wonderful Thursday night, and that is the HCS Power 12. So the HCS Power 12, powered, built, brought to you. I say brought to you by Still 174. Those guys are awesome. Those guys can build up anything. If I can build the HCS Power 12 from the ground up, those guys can certainly build a house out of some freaking fantastic structure, dude. I've seen it happen. Fantastic structure. They build it. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not a house that anybody just blows over. The big back wolf just blows over. All right. Cringing. Yeah, I know. Guess what? They build houses and they do it right. All right. Moving on. So we are done with the HCS Power 12 for tonight. Lane Kiffin. What's happening with Lane Kiffin, man? I don't know. I wish I could sit here and I wish I could tell you that I know exactly where he's going to go, but I don't. Take a swig of the Buffalo Wild Wings sweet tea. I don't know, man. I don't think that Ole Miss give him an ultimatum. I don't think that at all. I think that Lane Kiffin is going to do what he wants to do, obviously. John Brewer said, Joseph Brewer said, I got to ask London. That's fine. I think that We'll put him there. It's an interesting spot, man. This is an interesting situation. I think that Lane Kiffin's going to do what he does, that he wants to do. I don't think that he's made a decision yet. Obviously, I think that he'll stay at Ole Miss for now. If it were me, I'd stay at Ole Miss. You don't risk losing your job there. But I don't know. To me, if you stay at Ole Miss, it's more so like a risk mitigation type deal. Okay, you are limiting the opportunity for risk, and I don't know, that's just how I see that. But now let's swap it up. Let's swap it up for a second, and let's play devil's advocate. Is he really going to say that in the middle of a playoff push that he's leaving? No. Guys, that team can win a national championship. I know you don't want to hear it. Ole Miss can win a national championship. Okay? That is a team that can get hot. That is a team that can roll with momentum like any other team in the country. And I think that they can win a national championship. Do I think that? No. But that's aside from the point. I think that they can is the thing. All right. Brooke Stevens chimes in, says, my prediction, Lane is going to Ole Miss. John Summerall goes to LSU. Florida gets Alex Golesh, and Auburn gets DJ Durkin. And that's my most likely get for Auburn. That's my betting favorite. Well, pick DJ Durkin for Auburn because it just seems like the most likely candidate at this point. But like I said, John Cohen has already come out and said that he'd like to get an offensive-minded coach. Does that happen at this point? I don't know. We will see. All right. Now, we got picks for the week. I have Oregon over USC. I think that offensively they're a little too much for USC. I think that USC hangs around for a bit, but I think that Oregon, they get a stop or two defensively, and they pull away and they win that game. Now let's look at Pitt at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech literally has to win this weekend, and they're in the ACC championship game. That's it. Win this weekend against Pitt, you're in. Virginia, all they have to do is win out, and they're in. Simple, right? Well, we'll see. We'll certainly see by the end of it. By the time it's all said and done, we will see. TCU at Houston. Houston's a decent team. I don't think they're 25. They're top 25. Well, let me say this. I think they're top 25 worthy. I don't know how good Houston is. And I think that TCU puts a good fight up against them this weekend. It'll be a close game. BYU just smoked TCU at home. Houston can't do that, and it won't happen. All right, moving on. Yeah, USC at Oregon, Miami at Virginia Tech. Virginia just hired James Franklin. By the way, James Franklin at Virginia Tech is a phenomenal hire, in my opinion. Phenomenal hire. I think that with the way that things are trending for Virginia Tech, I think they'll be a 9-10 win team in a span of 3 years. I genuinely do. I think James Franklin, he can recruit like a madman. And in the ACC, there's not much to lose. I think that if he just wins 7, 8, 9 games a year, he's fine. That's job security. It kind of reminds me of the Ole Miss job. Ole Miss a little bit better of a program. Ole Miss a little bit better of a program, though, than Virginia Tech, obviously. But I don't know. What do you think about it? You let me know in the comments. Jeremiah Guris says, don't speak of Barrett's TCU. All right, so Barrett Gilreath over here is a massive TCU fan, and I have no idea why. No idea. I asked him one day in the drive-thru. He just said, decided to be a TCU fan. I like their colors. I like the purple, Barrett. I like their colors, man, but I think they're losing this weekend. Massive shout out to Jeremiah Gilreath and Barrett Gilreath. Jeremiah Gilreath over at Gilreath Sign and Frederick Brooks. Brooks Stevens says James Franklin will make the playoffs. He won't play many top 10 teams in the ACC. That's true. Now, Brooks, let's look at it from a different point of view. Look at the Big Ten. Played maybe 1-2 top 10 teams a year, top 15 teams a year. How'd that fare out for him? The guy was still good. The problem is he couldn't put it together this last year. I still don't know. I know why they fired him. I don't get it as much, okay? The guy still had a good career at Penn State. He just wasn't necessarily getting over the hump. But they fired him, and they come without. That was just crazy to me. Like, I never saw that one coming until, obviously, like the week before anyways. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's it, man. I think Oklahoma's going to beat Mizzou this weekend. Close game defensive battle. But I think Oklahoma wins. That's the Hayden Coker Show, man. That's it. That's the Hayden Coker Show. We'll be back next Thursday. And we're actually going to break down some of these games as well over the weekend. You can catch us on Facebook as well. Facebook will have some shorts up as well. So Don't go anywhere, guys. As we close the iPad for tonight, I will see you guys. I almost said I will kiss you goodbye later. I will see you guys later. Hope you have a phenomenal night. Y'all take care. Don't get in no trouble. Please, until next time I see you, I'd rather keep the viewership up rather than lose a viewer to jail time. All right. So let's say this. Let's keep a viewer. Let's skip the jail time. All right. This is the Hayden Coaching Show presented to you by Senator Lance Bell. Senator Lance Bell, the best man I know and the best man he knows. We'll see you guys next time. Y'all have a phenomenal night. Take care and God bless.